So this is the story of my first Thredup haul as a Canadian, and it's also the story of how I bought two identical skirts within 12 hours of one another. I don't know either. Honest to God. Hey everybody, how's it going? Wow, what a week, huh? So I actually filmed this whole video once already, and then decided that the sound was so terrible and painful and sibilant that I needed to redo it because I have standards. So who's ready to spend 2 days editing to hit that Sunday deadline? I'm here to talk to you today about my first ever experience ordering on Thredup as a Canadian. Being Canadian is basically all about looking at the things they have in the States and wanting them and being frustrated that you are like just so close and yet so far. Counterpoint though, we do have socialized healthcare, so fair play to that, I guess. And Thredup is... What do you want? So Thredup is one of those things. Thredup bills itself as a low-cost online shopping marketplace. It's become a really popular option for people looking to thrift online, people looking to buy secondhand stuff at a discount. It's also gotten a little bit of a mixed reputation. People have been receiving damaged items, people have been receiving stained items, ripped items. For Canadians, there's the specific Canada-related issues, clusterfucks as we may or may not call them. Cross-border shipping is never fun, and it can tend to just suck all the discount joy right out of your order. There's also the fact that you might get hit with duties at the border. I didn't want to shop Thredup necessarily unless I knew it was going to be worth it. I found myself on one of my sort of holy grail quests for an item of clothing that I wanted to find the perfect one of, and would go to the ends of the earth, hell or high water, valley low, river high. Basically, my latest quest was for a leather A-line miniskirt, something with a little bit of a structure. And lo and behold, I was clicking around on Thredup and I found one that seemed like it would be ideal. I was like, okay, this one skirt on Thredup seems to be the exact thing that I want. And I'm not finding a whole lot of alternatives right now. For context, the skirt was a black pleather patent finish A-line skirt from a brand called Leaf, which I believe they sell at Nordstrom. While I was on Thredup, I decided to take some time to look around and see what else was available. That's how it works, right? You decide you're going to order one thing, and then you're like, let me just have a little casual browse and see what... And then before you know it, your shopping cart has doubled, because you're an idiot. So I took a browse through some of the other categories, brands, things I thought I might like. Thredup's shopping interface is not all that intuitive. I found myself having to go to like Gap extra large and just pour through everything. H&M extra large, pour through everything. This seems to be just part of the Thredup experience. People are like, everything on there looks like grandma clothes, but apparently the secret is you just have to sift through millions and millions of listings to find the good shit. So in addition to my black pleather mini skirt, which was $58 list price, I narrowed it down to 3 other things that I thought I might want to sort of take a flyer on. All 3 of these items ended up being about $12–13 before I applied a coupon code later on. So I got an acrylic fisherman knit sweater that was vintage sort of assorted brands, which is kind of what they call like no-name brands or brands that aren't sort of represented enough to have their own category on the site. I also found a pair of Gap cargo pants with a tuxedo stripe down the side that I had actually been looking at on Poshmark for $54 Canadian, and Thredup had it listed for like $12 US, which, you know, score, right? Finally, there was a Lord & Taylor satin textured pencil skirt in sort of a cream color, which, spoiler alert, I'm wearing right now. Can you see? My back just cracked. I hope you guys heard that. I managed to find a 30% off coupon code, which is actually surprisingly easy to find. Thredup has a lot of coupon codes. They work with different influencers and YouTubers and stuff. So if you search for a deal, you'll probably be able to find one. With the discount, it came to $69 US. With the $20 shipping fee that they applied to Canada, it came out to $89. That's American. With the exchange rate applied, it ended up being about $120 Canadian. $60 for the skirt, and then maybe $20 each Canadian for everything else. If you kind of, you know, amortize out the shipping fees. Off the top, we're not really dealing with the same sort of like bargain bonanza that you would get in the States, just with the extra stuff applied. I will say that some Canadians have complained that they got hit with like massive customs fees at the border. I personally did not get that. I placed my order. It showed up at my house about 2.5 weeks later, and I was kind of anticipating I was going to get, you know, the shakedown call from UPS or whoever. Never arrived. So 2.5 weeks later, the box shows up at my house, and it's all cute and polka dotted like you'd expect. I go to open it and am immediately greeted by a loose thread on the skirt, which is sitting right on top of the box. Right off the bat, huh? And I'm like a little irritated by this because, you know, I've heard about the legendary Thredup quality control at this point. I was like, you guys couldn't trim that thread off before you sent it out into the world? Like, really? That was nothing compared to the sweater, which immediately I noticed had a massive gaping hole in the sleeve and little loose threads coming off all over it. I was like, how did you miss this? If the company goes to the effort of photographing and listing that item, you kind of expect it to be in at least saleable condition, right? The problem with this, I mean, this would be a problem anyway. Thredup charges apparently restocking fees. I believe it's $1.99 per item, so if you send something back, they'll charge you for it. I've heard about them waiving this with damaged items, so hypothetically in this situation that wouldn't be that bad of a thing. The problem is that if you are in Canada and you buy something off Thredup, they don't pay for return shipping. You are expected to pay for return shipping out of pocket. Sending an item of clothing to the States from Canada is going to cost you like $15, $20 minimum. So that basically means that if I were to mail this item back to Thredup for a refund, I would end up with no refund at all. I would probably end up paying out of pocket more to send it back than the thing would actually be worth. So this is one of those things that is a major problem with the model of Thredup as it pertains to Canadian shoppers. You really are taking a gamble on what you order, and if it doesn't work out, you kind of have to eat the cost. Going back to the sweater, I tried it on. It was cozy, it was cute. I wore it around the house. I was schwitzing like crazy. It's a great sweater. I would wear that all the time if it were in good enough shape to wear. As it stands, I think I'm gonna try the best as I can to fix it. I'm gonna keep it around for now. I'm gonna see what I can do with it because honestly, it's actually really cute. I just wish they had paid some attention to how it looked before I got it, you know? So why don't we move on to this skirt, which I would show you, but I'm literally, as I mentioned, I'm literally wearing it. I was actually really pleased with the skirt. In fact, I was really pleased with the rest of this box, although there was a whole debacle with the leather skirt, which I'll get into in a minute. I put this on and I liked it immediately. It's really cute. It has that kind of slip skirt feel. It's really trendy right now, but it has some structure to it, which I think is really great because I find that that sort of satin bias cut trend is kind of hard to wear if you're a little bit more self-conscious about kind of having the bumps and or the lumps. It has a tendency to show a lot of stuff, and I feel like if you're not comfortable with that, it's a tougher trend to wear. But I actually really like this. I like that it's kind of vaguely like lingerie adjacent, but I could also just wear it to the office. So yeah, that was $10 well spent. I feel like that's kind of where something like Thredup could really shine, is if maybe you want to try out a trend and you're not quite sure how else to do it, you have the opportunity to sort of search for that thing on Thredup and not spend too much money on it. So that was a check mark for sure. That's one for the positives column. The trousers I got, I'm so glad I got those because I would have still been looking at them in my Poshmark favorites if I hadn't bought them on Thredup, being like, oh, I don't know if I want to pay $54. They're like just bonkers enough. Like, if you had sat me down and been like, Nat, you want a pair of cargo pants with a big old satin tuxedo stripe down the side, half of me would be like, I do, but then the other half of me would be like, I do, you know? Like, it's the kind of thing that's just batshit enough, like a weird basic, you know what I mean? They're a little rumpled right now because I wore them and I pulled them out of the laundry bin for this video. As I mentioned, kind of the whole impetus for this order was that I saw this skirt on Thredup that I really, really wanted. 12 hours later, I'm like, Leith, I've never heard of that brand before. I wonder if they have anything else in my size kicking around that I like. So I go on Poshmark Canada, I type in Leith, I scroll down, and I find the exact same skirt that I had ordered on Thredup not 12 hours before in my size for $10 Canadian plus shipping. My first thought is, oh my god, I have to cancel the Thredup order because I could save myself a whole ton of money just doing that. So I get on the horn with Thredup customer service, and their whole thing is that you can cancel an order up until they pack it. So I'm like, it's Sunday, they probably haven't packed it yet. I got a hold of someone, they packed it. And I was like, well, that sucks for me. But also, well done you guys. I sort of weighed the thought of like, what do I do at this point? I end up buying the other one off Poshmark. I still don't fully understand why. I mean, I think on one level I was like, maybe I could just send the other one back to Thredup if it's worth the money. I could sell it back on Poshmark and see if I can make up some of the difference. I think part of it too is one of those weird like shopping psychology things where it's like, if there's something you really want and it's like hard to find, you'll buy more than one of them just because it's difficult to find and not because you really need both of them and you're just kind of like hoarding them like some kind of skirt dragon. I buy the other one, and because it's coming from within Canada, it arrives at my house in 2 days. So let's recap. Thredup, $60 skirt, 2.5 weeks. Poshmark, $20, 2 days. To Thredup's credit, skirt showed up in immaculate condition and it looked cute, it looked great, it's a great skirt, but I think that this sort of illustrates a bit of a caveat around Thredup in general, because Thredup is billed as this really, really cheap bargain basement option for buying clothes. And I think what this proves is that that is not always the case. They build it as sort of, this skirt was originally $90 and it still has the tags on it and it's available for 60% of its original price or something like that. That is a discount for sure, but it's maybe not like the great crazy discounts that I think everyone sort of expects from Thredup or that Thredup sort of advertises themselves to have. I don't want to make it sound like, you know, if you buy something on Thredup, magically the same item is going to be available at a more convenient place for less money. I think my experience is kind of an outlier here, but I do kind of want to underscore the fact that like, you're not automatically going to find whatever it is you want on Thredup for cheaper than anywhere else. You're still going to have to do your research and see what else is out there. This is the part where we kind of bring it all back home and we talk about whether or not it was all really worth it in the end. And the answer to that question is maybe? I don't know. Some of the prices on some of the stuff was really good. I got some pieces I'm genuinely really happy with. I think that given the risk inherent in Thredup's buying model, where like they just might send you stuff with a big ol' hole in it, and then if you're in Canada like me, you're gonna have to pay more than an American would to get that mistake rectified. I think the only time that I would see myself ordering from Thredup again is if I was in a similar situation where there was one thing that I really, really wanted and I was having a hard time finding it anywhere else. There are certain risks you take when ordering from Thredup. There's the possibility that it might come to your house damaged. There's a relatively high shipping fee. Not the highest I've ever seen, but you know, it exists. There's a possibility that you may or may not get extra duty charges on top of what you ordered. If I was just casually shopping and wanted to buy a bunch of stuff, I think that the barrier to entry for Thredup for me is just a little bit high. I think that it's a maybe, but it's not necessarily going to be cheaper or better than anything available locally. So I think I would probably exhaust local options first before I ordered from Thredup in the future. But you know, who knows? It may or may not happen. We'll see. There are new things tempting me on the internet literally all the time. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm really curious to hear if you guys have any experiences with Thredup in Canada, outside of Canada. Would you consider it? Let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in buying that other skirt off of me, it's listed in my Poshmark store literally right now. So thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys when I see you guys. Bye.